Once not too long ago there was a boy named Philip Gunn from East Aurora. Philip was a 6-foot-tall African-American who preferred to be quiet and unheard. Unlike most of his counterparts who liked the high life of thugs and thieves, spending most of his nights alone in his room. But Philip was smart. Academically and in some ways even street smart. He was popular for all the wrong reasons, as people liked to question him and make stories, many of them involving his sex life. Not many people had sympathy for Philip. But he was still smart. He was very smart. There was only one girl who fancied him, not for physical attraction, but one to find out what made this antisocial person tick. Her name was Felicia Helen, and she was very beautiful. But she was also with another man named Quentin Ice Seller. Quentin was part of that thug crowd, not for personal tastes but rather for social acceptance. The main reason why he is even accepted is because of his temper issues, other than that he would be but a regular person. Felicia kept her interests of Philip inside until early September, when she jokingly implied that she found something sexy about this Philip character in a text to her friend. Quentin, being a frustrated man, he saw offense to it. He stormed to her house and demanded to know what was going on. He thrashed at her, calling her a whore, and convicted Philip of sexual inabilities. Felicia took offense to this. Not only was she accused falsely, but she was starting to feel sorry for Philip as well. She got angry and stormed out of her house with Ice yelling at her from behind. She found the Gunn residence, stepped onto the porch, and rang the doorbell. No one answered. In fact, the house was rather dark, but she heard a stirring inside the house. She waited, still, and waited for about 2 minutes before the door was answered by Philip himself. When he answered, his forehead glistened, his eyebrows were curved, and only his head was noticeable from the door as she discovered there were multiple locks on the door. Putting this oddity aside for a second, she asked him to step outside for a little bit. He did so after taking off the locks. She asked if he could walk around with her for a little bit, unknowing that she only wants Quentin to be flustered into guilt, and after a minute contemplating it, he accepted. She asked why he had so many locks, to which his response was protection. Quentin was beginning to get worried. He waited at Felicia's house to see if she would come back after the fight. Something inside him ruptured him, telling him to find her. He put on his sweatshirt and rushed outside her house to find her. He walked, and the more he walked, the more cold it got, and then he was just outside town in a field. He took out his cell phone and used the glow of the screen to light his way. He noticed a shadow in the distance, a shadow that looked like a person. He walked closer and noticed long hair where the head would be. He started to walk faster towards the shadow and saw imperfections in the belly. He was over the body now. The inside was gutted, and leftover organs were strewn about the body, and he moved the glow to the untouched face. It was Felicia. He trembled, fell to the ground in the horror. Then he heard something from behind. It sounded human, but it was not a typical human sound. A growl. He turned and saw what Philip had become. His eyes vicious, his smile wide, his cheeks, chin, and teeth overflowed with blood, and knelt on all fours. Quentin last saw the creature that was Philip pounce him. The last thing he felt was teeth tearing at his neck unmercifully. And the last thing he ever spoke was but a short scream. Philip was smart, yes. He also took many precautions. He wanted to be alone. He didn't want to be noticed. He knew that if he didn't want to be outside during a full moon, he had to be away from the world. In this way he was smart. He was very smart.